You're killing me, Smalls.
We making movies, no acting in. I'm fucking Instagram action shit. UPS shipping packages. I'm smoking weed out them packages. If I ain't got a gun, I'm stabbing it. I got some leftover lean in the cabinet. I can hit your little hoe when she happy. Poke on that pussy shit like it's a top in it. We making movies, no acting in. I'm fucking Instagram action shit. UPS doing the packaging. I'm smoking good ass weed out them packages. I can't lie 'cause I ain't capping it.
Welcome back to the DNA podcast. It's your boy D.
It's your boy Antonio. Let's get to it.
So this week we finally made our scorecard for rap, but for music in general. So new albums, new songs, new artists. I feel like we've came up with a pretty solid score sheets. You want to describe it a little bit?
So I'm gonna go through the categories. First category is lyrics and lyricism. Pretty sure that's pretty self-explanatory. You know, what?
I would like to say that there might be slight curves based on stuff because I don't expect a Little Uzi Vert album to sound like Eminem, if that makes sense. The Lil Uzi Vert's album can still be good, even though he don't flow like him, but that's why we get the score sheets. It's subjective.
I mean, for me, it's like I'm going to judge you accordingly on your lyricism, no matter what. But you probably going to get a different score in another category. It's going to make up for your lower score there. So it's one of those for me. Replayability. So how can I listen to your album or your song or your catalog in general multiple times? You know.
And this isn't like if we do stuff retroactively, like in old albums, which we did for this, or like artists, is we're not going to use, oh, I would. It's have you.
Have I?
Yeah.
And then even with like a more recent album, have I listened to it more than once yet?
When it dropped, did you listen to it yet? Have you listened to it since? I mean, no, but well, then you don't like it. So, like, that's how we're.
Does it really have the replayability that you think it does?
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is persona. So, you know, the whole, you know, being an artist is all about who you are, and that's what makes people fall in love with you as an artist. So, like, art in this project or in you as an artist itself. Do we connect to you as a person, and do we like the persona that you're putting off?
Sometimes when people rap, they go about different things, or like it's weird that this is off the top of my head. Beyonce Saucer Fierce in some songs. I like Saucer Fierce songs. Go figure. Like there's just added little of something. Kendrick Lamar, who will be doing spoilers, goes with his Kung Fu Kenny persona sometimes.
Kung Fu Kenny or K-Dot.
So. Yeah.
Originality, and it's self-explanatory, but how new is the sound for you? How new is it for the genre in general? And do we think you press boundaries and try new shit? You experimented. You did do shit, basically.
Or does it get lost in the shuffle and you think, oh, is that such and such? Or is that such and such? Man, it shit sounds the same.
Can I tell which album this came from?
Off the top of my head, well, kind of fell off in general, but like the designer, originality would have went down. He sounds smack like Future. Even when he was hot, originality is down for me because he's hot, because he sound like somebody.
So the next one is pre-hype. And this one is more applicable to like albums and songs than artists in general. So maybe we'll slide this one out for something else. But so pre-hype, like, leading up to the release, how much hype was there building for this album or for this song or whatever?
Basically, overall marketing and just overall visibility of examples like when the Carter 3. If you were alive then, you know that bitch was built up like a motherfucker.
And arguably it lived up to it. And then post-hype. So how much of that hype train was real hype? Like, did you live up to what you were talking?
Or was it just whatever?
Flash
Great
in the
example.
pan, yeah.
Carter 3. That bitch was built, I think it was 2 years. Because I think it got delayed. Well, it got delayed plenty of times. And so, like, delay works against you. Like, this isn't a biased category because it's known that when something gets pushed off, it makes people forget or gets more antsy. And then if it don't deliver, it hurts worse.
Mm.
But, well, with that quarter 3, it delivered that. So that bitch hit 2 times as much because it delivered. Always is subject to change. We're not just like, oh, this is solid. If we feel like there's a hole in it or something's being taken advantage of.
Yeah. Or, we can even add an extra category on. And, if you feel like you leave something in the comments that you think should be in this scorecard, leave it down there, we'll read them, and we'll see where the cards lie.
Some other basic stuff for the scoring is from -5 to 5. It's easier to do that way because sometimes some stuff is god awful. I'm not gonna sit here and just give stuff negatives that don't deserve it, but some stuff is so bad that it loses points for that. Like it loses points off the album for that reason. And we will use decimals. It's up in the air. We might use our third man Frank, so we'll have individual scores. So at the end of this, we did 2 Kendrick Lamar albums, so you have the D score and the Antonio score, but then we'll average that, and there'll be the official DNA score for something. And this could lead to us writing reviews based off of stuff like that. But
I mean, and if you like this kind of content, you like our takes on music and other stuff, we're thinking about expanding this into movies and TV shows and stuff like that as well. So if you like this kind of content, let us know. Drop a like. This and that.
Yeah. I think before we really get into it, this is how I base stuff. So when people hear me talk and criticize stuff, I've thought of it within not these exact parameters, but in parameters to be fair. So I feel like the worst thing about debate sports shows is it feels like they don't use any like they don't use prior history. They just say whatever. Like they don't have any basis. So you could say, oh, he sat out because he was hurt. He's soft. But you could applaud this other guy for sitting out and not call him soft because you like him. That's biasness. So this will hold our feet to the fire. And hell, if one of us called bullshit on something like, bro, you gave this instance this, but you graded it this, well, then it's bullshit. So I feel like this keeps it more clear. Like,
and to be honest, like sometimes you bullshit stuff and you don't realize that you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can get something a better score than it really is worth, but you don't really notice that you're doing it until someone points it out to you. So that's one of those, the more you know.
It's basically benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like you may not like something, but you don't know the extent. Like, I don't like it, but it's still something. No. Like once you say, no, I really don't like this shit.
Don't like this.
And this came about, like we've always said we should do it, but this came about because of Kendrick Lamar. I don't know how many episodes this would be now, but it came up when it was just like, I went back and listened to the stuff. I really don't like it. Like,
Yeah.
I use the excuse because it's Kendrick to mask the fact that I didn't hide it. You take the name off of it, I just don't like it. But those are the general rules. For this one, we chose. I went with Antonio's favorite Kendrick album, Good Kid, Mad City, and I chose for my album for us to do the newest one, Mr. Morale, mainly because I don't like it, and I don't like the Untitled Unmastered the most, but I have not listened to it in so long that bases everything 0 for me, but that's biased.
Yeah.
If we ever retroactively do it, I don't mind going back and listening to it again and grading it as is, but I won't listen to that shit again.
It's not a bad album. Or EP, whatever it's considered.
But that's everything.
All right, so we'll hop straight into it. So Good Kid, Mad City is the one we did first. I gave it a 5 for lyricism. I think, and this kind of bleeds into the replayability, but the more you listen to the album, and then the more you like, I had to watch some like breakdown videos and stuff to fully get it all, because I'm not a super music nerd. But like, he uses different tones of voice, different this and that to convey different messages. And then I'm kind of lumping in the musicality of the songs into the lyricism, because you have to think about that stuff when you're writing your verses. There's number one, there's like double and triple entendres in his song in this album, and if you ever had to write a double entendre intentionally, that shit's hard, and to make it flow into a rap bar, even harder. So that's some of the reasons.
I gave it a 5 as well. Anybody that knows me knows that I really loved Kendrick Lamar at this point. I don't hate him, but at this point, Section 80 came out before than Good Kid, Maad City, and I think rap is one of the hardest things, and people don't admit to it. I think rap is real easy to criticize, but it's really hard to do it, and at a high level, because there's just so many words you can say and still be credible and taken like serious. Like hardcore rappers just can't talk like Mike Tyson out of nowhere, talk like T.I. Like, real street rappers, like, bro, that shit won't resonate. Like, what the fuck? You said expeditiously?
But when you do that in a fucking bar, it's so much more weight. Because, like, I don't know. I feel like when you have, number one, having a deep vocabulary is important as a rapper. Like, especially your growth as a rapper. Because you can say, I shoot niggas 45 times, right? But if you say, I don't know, use my marksmanship at point blank range, you know what I'm saying? There's much more you can go into.
When the beef is real, I calculate air distance.
Like that's so much more. Like it makes the bar hit harder to me.
So yeah, and so like Kendrick was in his bag. Like those two albums are on par for some of the best back-to-back albums. Might be number 2 for me in back-to-back albums, besides Kanye's I'm pretty sure it's Late Registration and Graduation. But like as far as like back-to-back, like boom, that nigga was in his bag. And so I honest to God did not think he could top Section 80. I guess time will tell if I do think he topped Section 80. But when I heard that Good Kid, Maad, this nigga, he elevated, like, because Section 80 was not a mainstream thing. If it's probably 1 out of 10 niggas that knew what Kendrick Lamar was.
Well, I didn't listen to Section 80 until Good Kid, Maad City came out. And then I went back and heard it retroactively. It's like, oh, this is good too. But my first introduction to Kendrick, like fully into Kendrick, was Good Kid, Maad City.
I got lucky because I watched a bunch of, I'm a hip hop head. It's weird that I don't say that a lot, but like I've listened to countless rap albums in the past. I listened to 80s albums, or I've given them a chance just to listen to it. I was on YouTube looking at stuff like this growing up. So somehow I discovered Kendrick Lamar right before he was going to get on the BET Cypher. In fact, most people didn't know that. I think him and Machine Gun Kelly was in the same Cypher.
Yeah.
And Section 80, I think, just dropped either right before he went on or right after. No, it was right before. I think right before. It was like 3 months before. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, oh, all right. So let me see this Cypher. If he can really rap in this Cypher, I'll follow him. And it sucked to me. But it sucked because I didn't really understand what the fuck he was talking about.
Like, I don't really remember his Cypher now, but I think I remember it being decent. So
it's way better now. Because, like, Kendrick Lamar is one of those things that, once you know, you know. And so, like, that's what lyrics mean. So, all that being said, we're stuck on lyrics. But I just wanted to be known, like, I give it a 5 because I just did not think that nigga would be able to top wordplay-wise of what I heard from Section 80. And I believed that if he did not top it, he equaled it. And that's hard to do back-to-back while, still trying to make a name for yourself. And so, like, to your point, like, I don't think I've ever had to look up anything on the album, but I listened to that shit so much that I started, oh shit, oh, that nigga's in his bag. Like,
And
so,
but like it was like, and for me it was more the musicality stuff, like the when you hear the that part, like that's the past, and then there's another sound, and it's the present.
mhm.
And I didn't really catch, like I knew the songs were taking place in different time frames, but I didn't realize he was leaving all these notes and stuff into the project.
I think somebody had to explain it to me after. Like, I think I subconsciously knew it, but I couldn't put it into note form. But because I was able to pin down the story. But for the longest time, I didn't know that it was a real story. I thought it was just stories I thought he was just rapping about different stories. But I was able to pin down the flow of it. And so it was like I was able to get the story, but in a way for me to do that, I would have to know I had to know what was the past and what was the present. I didn't know it by beat per se, but it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a 5. If we ever be some sellouts and we break our record, I will retroactively give this higher than 5 because like he was in his bag. Our next one, replayability. I'm giving that a 5.
Yeah. Well, you gonna give your explanation on why you give it a 5?
Out of all the songs to date, the hits on those are easily the most digestible, but they don't lose the message. So like, bitch, don't kill my vibe, swimming pools, money trees. Money trees is arguably his best song with J Rock.
Poet Address is on that song on
Yep.
the album too, right?
Yep. Easily digestible. Some people will call those radio hits, but never lose sight of the message. Like all great albums, there should be songs better than the radio hits, which I do believe this album is. I think every radio hit I listed, there's a better song that wasn't a radio hit. My favorite, Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. That's my shit. Long as hell, but that's my shit.
Like the storytelling in that song alone is, if that was the album, it was just that song.
If it was an EP and there was like just 2 other songs with it, that song alone just carried that bit.
He's talking mid sentence and he pop 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 pop, and then promise that you will sing about me. Damn.
And then he switches songs in between, which at that moment, in that time period, that was not a normal thing. I cannot emphasize that's we'll get to that, but people were not flipping beats and switching songs and doing 2 songs in one. Basically, people were not doing that in 2010, 2011 like that. Now, it's a common occurrence. It's kind of annoying because like nowadays niggas just make the song worse. But like, yeah, so 5, easily 5.
I don't know. It's something about if Pyros and Crips all got along, they're probably gonna be down by the end of the song. There's something about like every road trip when that comes on, I'm automatically like, hey, like it. I've been listening to that song on road trips since it came out.
Bro, my verse, and it's not even a Kendrick verse, but it's J Rock. But it's that money tree where it was like I threw the crack up in the bushes, something. And it was like, what happens if he get caught? He ain't coming back. Like that. Like, and that's what I mean by lyrics. He did not say nothing complex. He didn't use double entendres, but it's just dead ass real. Like if you get caught with that, you ain't coming back. Like that. He's telling a story and the story is escalating. And that's just how you know it's like, J Rock got caught with that work. He had it up. So like, yeah, like stuff like that is replayability. You play for road trips, so you specifically replay that.
And this is why I gave it a 5 on my replayability score, because like I've listened to it so many times, and now I think I have all the the hidden meanings figured out and the their entendres, all the other stuff, the metaphors and stuff going. But like every time, like when I the first probably 5 times I listened to that album, I got something new from each listen. So like, that's why it's such a good album to me.
And secretly, regardless of what people say, that's what people want in media. Because, like, that same thing, getting more after you finish it, people like that in video games. People like when you beat the game, or like when you 100% it, you unlock stuff that was special for doing it and doing whatever. So, like, people love that shit. People love discovering new shit through whatever. And it's a 5. I don't see how it's not a 5. You a hater if it's not a 5. But, yep.
Yeah. Slide to the next one. All right, so the next category is persona. So like, I gave him a 4 for persona. I think I gave him a 4, and that's a really high score. Out of 10, basically. It's a pretty high score, So I gave him that score because I felt like it felt genuine. It felt like it was all real stories from his childhood, from his past. It felt like real shit. Like and it wasn't all. I don't know. I could relate to it because it wasn't all gangster shit. You know what I'm saying? It was like real life shit, like trying to go get some cheeks from a girl, trying to, what I'm saying, but also some gangster shit at the same time. It's like, it's really what it's like to grow up as a young boy in Compton, or in any hood really at that time. And I think that's, I don't know. I think it was really tight.
Obviously, I agree with that stuff. I gave it a 5. So I feel even stronger in he portrayed a banger in the past, current one, himself, family members, all throughout. And like, this is a portrayal. He mentioned them, but he also portrayal, like, their thoughts, their, like, intentions, and all this. And to your point, he does a good line of making it relatable to all hoods, but when it needs to be Compton, it's Compton. Because like, he'll mention some Compton stuff, but it'll also let you know it's Compton. Or like, he'll mention like getting smoked over Chucks. I've known niggas to get smoked over shoes too, not Chucks. That's a Compton thing. I wouldn't get smoked over no Chucks. You can have those. So like, this is where we was introduced to Kung Fu Kenny. Not introduced, he did it in the past, but this was on a larger scale. And yeah, he was just in his bag. So for originality, this isn't my lowest score, but it's my second lowest score. I gave it a 3. And mainly because I feel like the beats themselves wasn't really too much shit to work of. It works for Kendrick, but in a vacuum, beats kind of suck. I don't really think he shattered the mold. I hate when rappers are good at rapping. That's considered shattering the mold because there's a lot of whack whatever. There was a bunch of whack rappers in the 90s. There was trash ass niggas in the 90s. It's debatable if we get their trash ass niggas and aren't the trashiest niggas now, or who would win. But that doesn't, like, and I've heard some trash ass rapping from the 90s. And some people from then knows, but they just, we don't talk about that. Well, we talk about ours all the damn time. Like,
Yeah.
So, like, he raps well, but he doesn't shatter the mold. He raps well and tells stories. But it's not the best that I've ever heard. Like, it's not nothing revolutionary. It's nothing that Scarface, Jay-Z, Tupac and them didn't do. So that's why I'm low on originality. Once again, it's 3 out of 5. And then, the lowest would go is -5.
So like, it's still a good score.
Like, when people hear that, they'll be like, something you graded that low. And I just feel that it wasn't completely different. It's a great album, but I don't think it's took chances.
Fair enough. I gave originality a 5. I gave it a 5 because I felt like in the time frame of where we were at, right? Like we were coming out of the Soulja Boy, dance music kind of vibe. We were sliding into the Drake and more poppy sound, and like this was pure hip hop, and it was completely original from what the sound was at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I got such a high score for me. Now, I do realize that like lyricism and musicality is something that's been a thing for, as long as hip hop's been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it just did it at a higher level than what they were doing then. That makes sense.
And that makes sense. And so, like, the way we both graded it, I'm not going to say it's wrong because, like, it's both our opinions, but also, like, and this is why I had to establish, like, I'm a hip hop head. So, like, the dance, jerk, soda pop, I don't consider, like, even though that was hot for us, and, like, that's most niggas our age even knew, that was still just a phase. Like,
yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
and Kendrick brought it back.
Brought back. I feel like Kendrick was the rebirth of hip hop for me.
Fair choice. And every time when I compare Kendrick, I don't compare Kendrick to no damn Soulja Boy. I don't compare Kendrick to the Dougie. I compare Kendrick to Jay-Z. I compare Good Kid, Mad City to All Eyes on Me. I compare, like, and I guess that's where, like, I get a deep, like, why I'm, like, really on ass about something. No, don't compare Kendrick to no motherfucking Lil Pump. Compare that nigga to somebody of his stature and give me a real comparison. Like you could easily take, one bad thing or one good thing and it elevates.
Yeah.
So that's why I've just always skipped out. I was never phased by the jerk and whatever era either. Like I didn't know I was that age, but I knew what bad rap was and I knew that was bad rap. But I knew that shit couldn't last. What I'm saying is real rap was always going to come back because real rap has real in it. Like the real authentic thing will always come back.
Yeah, and I guess for me it's just like I'm judging it with what its class was.
Mm-hmm.
Like who else was rapping like that in that time period? Like I mean, you had A$AP Rocky. He was rapping. He was New York style, but same kind of feel, sort of. And then you had Drake and Wayne, but that was more mainstream and poppy.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the time,
Big Sean was kind of blowing up around that time.
Big Sean was coming out, and but Kendrick sounded different than all them niggas. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think they're kind of all in the same class for the most part, like in like not ability level, but like they're all generally like if this was the NBA, they all would be in the league. You know what I'm saying?
They would be superstars.
Yeah.
They would be they'll be leading teams.
So
you got the same exact way of grading, but we're doing is two different things. You're grading him against the people he's currently with,
and you graded against all-time greats.
Yes.
Yeah, it's LeBron versus Mike.
Yeah.
And I'm saying LeBron versus
Kevin Durant.
Which
both are fair arguments. Yeah, like both is fair. You're grading him against his peers currently. I'm grading against his peers of all time. So like as soon as you said it was like we're doing the same, just which is your preference? Do you care about him doing it now or all time? So because it's great that we got it.
And I think I probably would slide it closer to your. What did you score it as? 3. I probably would slide it closer to your score if I was grading it your way.
And if I was grading your way, I would have gave it a 5. Yeah. So like perspectives. Who do?
Pre-hype. I don't really, and we are doing this retroactively, so it's kind of one of those like, how good is your memory? But I don't really remember the hype for this being so great. Now, I was had a little bit of hype like locally about it, just because there was this one kid who was a super Kendrick fan and like was kept talking about that nigga. So I was like, well, this album better be fucking good, because if not,
Come on, yes. And I'm not listening to that nigga again.
yeah. But like so there was some hype locally for me, but I don't really remember people talking about it outside of the friend group like that. Like, I don't remember people talking like being super hyped for it, but I also wasn't really on social media heavy then. How social media wasn't really as big then as it is now. So like it's really hard to judge.
And Kendrick Lamar's on a huge social media presence now.
Yeah.
So like outside of when his date is, he still now doesn't do a whole lot. So then he really didn't do a whole lot. I gave it a 2. Like this is one of the most finicky ones for me to grade, but I gave it a 2. Maybe should have went 2.6 or 2 point something. Because I know you remember I think the recipe with Dr. Dre dropped before the album.
Yeah.
So that built buzz for it. Without that, I would have put 0. But him being on the BET Awards, repping Compton, and he's always been outspoken about bringing Compton back. But when he was on that recipe song, more eyes was on him. So, like, I would say, if you did not know what date it dropped, but you knew he was dropping an album, you were more inclined, I'm going to give it a chance to see if that nigga's really, talking that talk, like on the recipe. So it gave it a 2, but because it was just that one thing. It was no real, like nobody in the halls was like, hey, that Kendrick, that shit drop on Friday.
Well, there also was the fucking problem came out.
No, that was after.
That was after?
That was after.
Damn.
It was only the recipe. That was his first real main hit.
Shit.
Yeah. And so, well, Dr. Dre backing is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
As history tells. I think there was even like this little small campaign on where he was like kind of the next Eminem. Of course, not like Eminem, but so is this the next guy? Well, I guess technically originally the next Snoop Dogg, because that's all Eminem really is. Is this the next guy? Is this the and turns out he's that guy. Go figure, unless Dr. Dre helps with a bunch of beats that I don't read and post, really has not linked up like that a lot.
I mean,
that could be due to Dre's preference of just not making music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's I think he I do think he does produce for him and mix for him, but I'm not sure. I think they have maybe 2 or 3 songs, and I think they're all on Good Kid, Maad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly.
I was about to say,
I can't remember any other ones.
I was about to say, like, you don't even really see them really out. This Super Bowl, past Super Bowl, was one of the only few times I could say that they were together, but they weren't even together then. But well, they performed together. So
Yeah.
Me for post hype 5. When that bitch.
Oh, I never gave my grade. Sorry.
Oh shit, my fault.
I gave it a 3, and you saw my explanation. Let's give you the number.
My fault.
You're good.
Post hype, it's a 5. That bitch dropped and had some hits on it. Every nigga in the school. So when I tell you it's night and day, nobody gave a damn if that album came out. When that bitch dropped, nobody could shut the fuck up about that album. And the album blew up in ways. It's funny. The album did not blow up the first month it came out, because I was able to listen to the whole album and I loved it. And I was talking about it. Nobody gave me props. People would tell you now, you weren't on it first. There's this one nigga I used to wrestle with, and I will go find him. And we had this conversation. He was the only other Kendrick fan before me, and he knows that was lit, whatever. But when Swimming Pools hit the fucking radio, that shit blew up. But I know for facts it became a hit a month after the album dropped. I don't need to look nothing up. I don't need to verify dates. But I know if you go verify it yourself, that bitch blew up a month after. And every nigga under the moon was fucking listening to Good Kid, Maad City.
And like, well, and it definitely helped his longevity in the like the scene, like hip hop scene, because like it didn't have a whole bunch of songs blow up at once. It had Poetic Justice blew up, and then Swimming Pools blew up, and then Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe blew up. So it was like a continuous this album's fucking good.
Yeah, and that album stayed in rotation. I think one of the last hits came out like a year after. So I was like, I don't know. It was weird because like niggas who claim they listened to it would hear a song on the radio and be like, that bitch fire. That bitch came out a year ago. Like, I knew for facts. I hated swimming pools for the longest. I hated swimming pools when it became a radio hit, and I loved it before. But because it played on the radio all the time, I hated that fucking song. Hated it so much that I even questioned, what the fuck does it even really mean? Like, I know what it means, but does it really mean, like, is it really that good?
but that's why Swimming Pool is such a great song. It's just kind of off topic, but this is why it's such a good song, because it's a song with a very deep meaning, but at the same fucking time, it's a party song.
Yeah.
So it's both. Like, and the fact that he was able to pull that off,
Flawlessly.
impressive.
Yeah. What's your score?
Post type, right?
Yeah.
Post type, I gave it a 4.5. And I gave it a 4.5 because it did not blow up immediately.
Fair. I literally did. Yeah.
Because it blew up in sections. Now, I gave it a 4. If it had just blew up in sections and it wasn't, hyper popular like it was, it would have got a 4. But it was super popular in sections, and it had longevity to it as well. So that's why I gave it a 4.5. But it wasn't like, I guess, and also specifically in my hometown in New Bern, it wasn't, everybody liked the album, but no one was like, it wasn't like when Chief Keef dropped, if that makes sense.
Man, that bitch was fired.
And that's the best way I can explain it. Is just locally, like, to me, it's a 5. But realistically, with who I was hanging out with and everybody, like when Wayne dropped one of those mixtapes.
Sorry for the wait. It was sorry for the wait. If you lived through it, you know. If you know, you know.
When he dropped Sorry for the Wait, when I say it blew up in my hometown, it blew up in my hometown. You couldn't drive down the street without hearing that someone bumping it.
The reason why I gave my post hype a 5, right? Because those albums, except for Chief Keef is an anomaly out of this. But Lil Wayne was already established and he had great pre-hype. So the post hype fit the pre-hype. Because that nigga just kept one. Sorry for the Wait was just a transitional mixtape for the Carter 4.
Yeah.
And so, like, the Carter 4 was in fucking album hell, wasn't coming out. Then it was like, boom, boom. Sorry for the Wait. Like, he said that on plenty of songs before, too. Kept promoting it. And it was like, this was the album. Like, this was the album after the Carter 3. Because there wasn't no real album since. So it was like, for that you expect for that to blow up quicker. I gave Kendrick Lamar a 5. And, like, the reason, solid, because I said it blew up after a month. Kendrick Lamar went from nobody to superstar in a month.
This is very true. Like, this 4.5 was really hard for me to give.
But it's like, you rarely see that. I think the only comparable person is Drake. Because Drake even has the bar that did it overnight. I don't think it could happen any quicker. I will admit with that. I think Drake is the only person literally to go. But I guess Drake wasn't a nobody, so Kendrick Lamar's is better.
Yeah, I mean, Drake was a TV actor before he,
So I still say he went from nothing to something in the rap game, but it's not like Kendrick. Kendrick was nothing to superstar. Like, Drake and Kendrick never had rising. When they dropped, they were already that guy. Like,
yeah.
Like, most rappers got to, just,
grind,
still be high. But, you got to build up to no. They them niggas.
That's it.
Yeah. So, in the end of that, Antonio's overall was 26.5 out of 30. Just 25 out of 30. That means he gave it an 88%. We got to come up with what's good about it. They got Rotten Tomatoes, but maybe something I gave it 83%. And for the DNA combined score, Good Kid, Maad City's 86%. And, well, by default, that's our highest graded album.
And, maybe one day we'll put up a fucking...
I expect to have scorecards and just, I don't know, maybe, hang the scorecard. Just keeps
Let's put the albums, move it up and down. I think that'd be dope. And you have like the top 25 up there, and then
and it's
slide
a
them off and
ranking. So the DNA number one album is
Good Kid, Maad City.
yeah.
So do you think this score, the 83 that you gave it, do you think that's an accurate score for you?
In my heart of hearts, right? So this isn't my favorite album. So if I did my favorite album, I would hope that it scored higher. Hope, like really hope. If it scores lower, it might tell something that I'm beginning to suspect. I don't think Kendrick Lamar is as top of a rapper as I thought back then. I've started beginning to think that. And this is my second favorite album from him. If my second favorite album is 83, and that's why I was like, I hope, if I was to do this with Section 80, that cracks 90 because it justifies it. But if Section 80 is below this, I know there's not a single album cracking 80. Debatable if it cracks 70. And like, I've had this feeling that if I was to make a top 20, and like, I'm a rap guy. I know names that some people have not even listened to. This Kendrick Lamar's out the top 10. I know that for facts. Debatable if he's out the top 15. I like him. I just don't know if I just don't think I really loved him. I don't think that all the follow-up albums have done enough for me to just
It hasn't submitted his legacy for your
as much as what people, and that's why it's like I take a firm stance when people compare it to now. Kendrick's top 5 easily. Listen to him now. So he's top 5 all time because currently the rappers are garbage. Like just like does that logic make sense? So he's top 5 because the people he's compared to is trash. No, to be top 5, you need to be better. Like if somebody said that he's the best rapper ever, so he's better than Tupac. I mean, I ain't say, yes, you did say that. You said that wholehearted. Is he better than Jay-Z? I mean, so they have two different stuff. You said he was the best rapper. Like, you gotta stand on what you say. And so, this being 83 was real. I thought I was gonna give it 90.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna break 90 on this score. I'm a little disappointed, but I felt like I graded fairly. It might have bumped up. I can maybe move some stuff around a couple percentage points, but
some stuff is hard in retrospect.
Yeah.
Because like, well, post-hype and pre-hype, for all we know, those could have been 4s. And that easily sends your score over 90. Like that brings mine up to 88. So I think our score would be 90 because I think yours would be like 92 and mine would be like 88, so that would have been 90. So like this stuff would be a lot easier when we do it currently, and maybe we'll tweak it a little bit for retroactive stuff, but yeah, it's like it's 86. Damn, this is regarded as his best album to most people. This is 86. Maybe we just don't give 90s. Maybe this will start a trend where things don't crack 90, and it's like, oh.
And if something cracks a fucking 90, you better be great at that. Because if Good Kid, Maad City didn't crack 90 and you cracked 90, you had to have a great album.
Like it's had to have done something. And I think, truthfully, I think my originality kept it low. But I don't know, there's a bunch of lows here. Pre-hype and originality is what kept it low for both of us. And like, yeah, it's just hype. Like if that pre-hype was high, that it would be without a question.
Yeah.
But he went from nothing to something. So there's that.
And can you really fault him for that? Like,
yeah, you got to start somewhere. He just started at the top. But moving on to the next one, his current album, Mr. Morale and Big Steppers.
And the Big Steppers.
Started off with lyrics, gave it a 4. Kendrick Lamar is going to do Kendrick Lamar things. His wordplay is still impeccable. He's at this stage of his career for me, he's Eminem-esque. Even though I might not like the song or the album, I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't be putting words. Yeah. They don't put words to the beats good. Now, do I necessarily like it? Do I necessarily like the delivery? Debatable, but the actual lyrics are still top notch. So it's not, I couldn't give it a five if I gave Good Kid a five, but gave it a four. And I think, truthfully, I think I should have given it lower, but gave it a four.
I gave it. Sorry, I gave it a 3.8. Like he was saying, I think it was just as good as any other Kendrick lyricism skills. I don't think he's gone down in his skills and ability to put words together. Just compared to his other stuff, I don't think it's.
It doesn't grab you.
It doesn't pull me in the same way that Good Kid, Maad City, The Pimp a Butterfly, Section 80 pulled me in. But like I said, does not take anything away from his abilities or what he did in the album. Just
Nigga still raps. Yeah, like he still can rap his ass off. Just
better than 90% of the niggas out right now. So
yeah.
So replayability. I gave it a 3. And I gave it a 3 because I have not gone out my way to listen to it more than 5 times. And not like force myself to listen to it 5 times, but like wanting to listen to it 5 times. And I gave it that grade because I wanted to listen to The Pimp Butterfly and Good Kid, Maad City multiple times. And I went out my way to do it. I've listened to this album maybe 3 times and not as a full experience, just as like songs are coming on and they're playing.
I'm going to change my score because I gave it a 2 on replayability. In my heart of hearts, it's a 1. I only like 2 songs. And although I not only like it, I've only listened to the 2 that I like. The shit's like 15, 16 songs. So by that metric, it's no real replayability to me. I gave it a 2 for the 2 songs. But like that's a 2 out of 5 is 40. No, I don't listen to that.
Yeah,
like I don't believe that bitch is And so like it's a 1. We both commute to work. And so it's like my commute more or less is still like high school. I ride a train, even though I rode a bus to school, it took me 30 minutes. And so in that time I listen to music. I have plenty of time to listen to music. And so if I like something, good example, boy, that Tomorrow 2 with that Glorilla and Cardi B, listen to that bitch every single day. And like I listen to that bitch, so it's no excuse for me not to listen to it. Some people have jobs or do whatever where they don't listen to music and it could get out from them, but I feel like you can listen to music doing stuff. So if you find yourself listening to music and that's not something you want to listen to, well then you don't want to listen to it. And so I find myself on the train. I listen to a bunch of shit. Like in that 30 minutes, I'm not listening to that. Like I tried it, like you said, I tried it for a week. Listening to it to and from work. And just didn't like it. Yeah. Persona, I gave it 4.5. Once again, I think Kendrick Lamar still knows how to give different perspectives on people that's in his verses well. He does well telling the story from different perspectives also. And so, like, that's still up there. Like, most of it, he tells it from a husband, wife, and kid perspective now instead of, family perspective being, a young kid,
yeah.
Growing up or whatever. And so, more or less, this is like the follow-up to like Good Kid, Maad City in a way to me. Because that same kid he detailed doing all that stuff in the street coming up is now a family man doing it. And so it's like, it just works. Like, it fits together perfectly. And well, when you know that this is kind of about his family, then that's why it's easy. That's how you know he's really went deep into, I guess, the psychology of the people, because more or less he's talking about his kids, more or less he's talking about his wife, or a previous girlfriend, and more or less these are his thoughts in the situation. So
Yeah. Yeah, I gave it a 4 for Persona. But basically just to pair it what he said, he's still telling a great story. He's giving different perspectives. But now you get the family man, point of view, and I think that's an interesting way to do it. I think he did it better than what's his name, Chance the Rapper.
Wait. Once again, I can't say way better because I hated both.
But to me, I feel like he did it better than Chance did. Because Chance was, I love my wife, but like
over and over and over, bro. We get it.
And there's nothing wrong with loving your wife, but giving the struggles and the this and that, especially from somebody who's been in a relationship for 7 years.
Do you know truthfully what's Chance's worst thing about it is? He doesn't even give you like ups. He just says he loves his wife. Like he doesn't detail like, we went on a picnic and did like, yeah, he just keeps going on how great his wife is. And the one thing is nothing wrong with his wife being great, but you're just saying you're not giving me no substance with it.
Yeah.
And we still want downs too. Like downs does help balance it out.
Yeah, because we've all been in a relationship before, for the most part. So we know like there's ups and downs to a relationship. So giving the downs and being transparent in your relationship it makes you relate to the person even more.
Let me tell you how much of a disconnect it is. And I don't know if he did this just to be funny, but on coloring books, I forget which song it is exactly, but he was like, my daughter has the best mother. Or yeah, if somebody loves my daughter's mother, she's still the best or whatever. Like he said it like in that sense. So it kind of makes me think, oh, we're all not together. Or, like for any reason, you split for any reasons. You don't necessarily got to be mad. But it's like, I have no actually resolution to that answer. Like I have I have nothing to go off of because he's never mentioned anything else to connect the breadcrumbs. Now it's his life, but it's just like, it's just up in here. Like, why did you say it like that then?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like that's just, I don't know why that sticks in my mind because I listen to that song all the time. But it's like, why did he say it? Like, was he not with her? Like, what? But why has he not mentioned it again in songs?
And maybe during the writing of that song, they were going through some shit. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, that's the difference approach from a Chance and a Kendrick that gives you everything. And it's like, I get it. Like,
originality. I gave it a 4 for originality. And I gave it a 4 because it sounds different than anything he's done, and like it's a different perspective than anything he's done. And I guess I am judging it purely on his other work, so it's different for him, if that makes sense. And maybe I should probably bump this down to like a 3.5, to be honest, because it is another Kendrick album, but it is a different story being told. Because like he easily could have did another Good Kid, Maad City. I'm sure he has more stories to tell.
I gave it a 1 based off the fact that as far as originality go, he stole words. It's just another Kendrick Lamar album. After a while, if this wasn't Kendrick Lamar, I don't think people would really listen to it. Would have given it a chance. Like you gave it a chance. You give it a chance because it's like, oh, it's Kendrick. I've seen what he did before, so I know I'm in store. But I think after 1 or 2 songs, and it's just like nobody else would have been given the chance to keep going through. So like it's another Kendrick song. Outside of Down, because he did that, like a middle finger to B Poppy, which God, I hate that album too.
I love that album.
But like, it's easier for me to say it like this. So like I like this rapper called Montana 300.
Mm.
You can't just keep rapping forever. You can't just keep having long, drawn out, double entendres, triple entendres on top of everything for a whole album. Outside of Damn, Kendrick's had it for 4 straight albums. This is not me. Oh, you don't like real rap. You need mix. You need in anything. You need a mix. The reason why rappers who quote unquote are like top rappers but have sorry hooks and can't make songs, nobody's gonna listen to no damn album of 3-minute songs if you just rapping for 3 minutes straight. Like you need something, and so I feel like it's too much deep meaning stuff on top of each other. Not that it's deep meaning, it's too much.
It's wordy. It's too much to digest in one go.
He's forcing you to re-listen to it. That's the key. Big Kid, Maad City, you could listen to it, not be forced to and like it. You could not grasp any of the deep meanings behind it and still love the songs. No. I think you only like these songs because you know the deep meaning. And that's how I feel.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
And I think that's really accurate why I like the songs, because I'm such a lyricism driven fan that like I'm gonna like it anyway because it's lyricism.
And it's like I like lyrics, but it's just like, bro, I get tired of every single
have you think all the time.
Yeah.
I get that.
Like you're not gonna listen to this bitch while cutting the grass.
Yeah.
Because it's too I want to just get something to listen to. Like you described the fucking problems. Kendrick Lamar was in his bag. That shit has some meaning, but it's not the deepest song. But he was still in his bag.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, Kendrick got to be like a little pump and do, say the one thing. But it's a slog sometimes to constantly. It's like at this point, it's kind of like a book. But some people will read any book, older people like James Patterson. Anything with that band's name on that bitch and it dropped, they're going to read. But some people just aren't into books or aren't into that book and just, it's a slog for them. And it's kind of like, that's the best way. It's a book for me.
Yeah, and I think that is the best way to describe this album. And that's kind of how he uses his music in general. It's kind of why I like Damn, because it was like, number one, it was like if I put all the fucking wordiness away and I just rapped like you motherfuckers, I can do it. And I can have another one album.
The reason why I hate Damn so much, and I mean it did its job and it doesn't just appeal to me. Bro, it sucked as a pop album. His goal he set out to do, I guess overall he accomplished it. But from my fan standpoint, he didn't. You sucked at it. It goes to my point that it's hard just to be a radio hits type of guy to continue doing it. Kendrick ain't do it. I don't want to listen to that shit. Kendrick didn't prove anything to Lil Uzi Vert per se. Listen to that shit. I know it's not the deepest meaning, but it's great radio hits. You didn't compete with it. That shit sucked. The goal was if his goal was, boom, I could conquer radio like y'all. I could be a radio. I could make club hits like y'all. You can't. You fake you actually failed doing that because I think it's god awful. I'm not saying you're a god awful rapper, but this agenda you had out, you did not accomplish it. Now the numbers say different, and many people like it, but I can argue most people don't even listen to that album that much. It was hot for its time, but it did not.
I don't know what TV I'm
So, that was a weird spinoff, but originality is a one. Also, Kendrick's beats are just trash, man. And I'm saying that harshly, but it's rare that I really get Kendrick beats that are fire. Let me put it to you like this. It's rare that any of his beats Lil Wayne's going to use for Sorry for the Wait.
But all his beats, and I think this is part of the problem, all his beats have this West Coast sound to them. And I don't know, I feel like it's just known that that's his sound.
And it's
And-
West Coast slower.
Yeah,
That's
it's like Chop and Screwed had a baby with like a West Coast sound, and it's just that's him. That's how he likes to rap.
And that's where it's like, rappers shouldn't get points for the beats being fire, but the lyrics suck. But where I am, the lyrics are kind of slogging for me. Beat doesn't keep me engaged either. And so like, well, shit. When you're somebody, you say you don't like the lyrics, the beat, do you really like the song? That's pretty much the whole damn song.
That's the whole song. Only thing that can save it is maybe the hook.
Yeah. And so that's my huge thing. Like, I don't even hear a beat where I'm like, maybe I'm a stan. Even in Kanye's worst albums, I hear, oh, that goes on with this beat. Like, he was in his little bag. I can see that. Just doing the lunch. Then he was in his bag with those beats.
I could see right through that. For me, like, you spent too much time cooking that beat up, my guy.
Is it me or you?
I think it's you.
Pre-hype. I gave it a 3. The reason I gave it a 3 is because it's a Kendrick album. It's going to get more hype now. Maybe I should have gave it higher if I gave Good Kid 2. I should have gave it a 4. But I didn't even really know the name of the album until it dropped.
Yeah, so I don't think I knew the name of the album coming out. And maybe a week out, I figured out what the name was. But you know, I go ahead and give you my score now. I gave it a 5, and I gave it a 5 because he dropped that song with his cousin.
Is Baby Keem his cousin?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
There's a song with his baby cousin doesn't want to go to school no more. That's about Keem.
Oh, like I knew about a cousin. I didn't know Baby Keem was a cousin.
Yeah, it's
makes sense. They kind of rap alike.
He's also kind of trash. Don't get me started. But when Kendrick's verse came out, and we were like, "Oh fuck, Kendrick's back." And I don't know. For me, it was, and I heard there was a lot of buzz going around like, "Oh, this album's about to be fucking fire." Like, we're going to get a Good Kid, Maad City. We're going to get a To Pimp a Butterfly hype.
I did not get that buzz. Like, I honest to God, did not.
And it might just be because my Twitter is targeted towards that kind of music. Like, I get Big Sean stuff, and I'm not a super Big Sean fan, but that's kind of the same genre of people who like Kendrick probably like Big Sean.
Yeah. I'm about to say, like, I would get my random tweets was like, Kendrick Lamar drops this day. Cool. Like that would be like the extent, or like some people talk about like, oh yeah, K-Dot drop, but it's like, I know this is weird to harp on, but for the fact that I know I did not know the name, how the hell was you promoting this album? Just a Kendrick album? Like, if you promote the album, wouldn't you know the name for an extended period of time,
But I feel like that's part of Kendrick's marketing. Is like, it's the mystery behind of what kind of project are we getting this time.
True.
Like, we knew I think we knew the name of Damn, right? But we didn't know what kind of project we were going to get until we got the project.
I'm about to say, bro, I didn't know the album was Damn for so long. Like, I don't know. I think I was working. And I think I forgot the day that it dropped, but I went into work and people were talking about it. It was like, what's the name of the album? The album is Damn. Out of all the shit that he could have done, like, this is the nigga that he. Okay. Which I'm still kind of crazy that, like, he just went through with that. Like, it's kind of hard to promote that to kids. That's the reason why they don't put cuss words.
I just don't think that was that just wasn't his target audience.
True.
And Damn is a pretty safe cuss word.
It is.
Of all the cuss words to choose, that's probably the safest one. You want to move on to post hype? All right, so post hype, I gave it a 3 because I gave it a 3 because I follow a few like album review people and like music review people, critics is the word I'm looking for. And they were talking about it and there was a lot of buzz about it. But I also gave it a 3 because the streets weren't in love with it, but hip hop heads were. If that makes sense. Like people who want lyricism were like, "Oh, this is another great example of good lyricism," but it's one of those. And this easily could have been like a 2.8, 2.5 range too, but I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 1. I'm real disappointed based on the little bit of hype that I did have. But also I feel like it's like a wave of unanimity. Like, it's not I think it's just a wave because one, nobody's once mentioned the album to me since it dropped. So outside of the first week of it dropping, nobody's even mentioned it to me. I don't think anybody really sings the lyrics. I don't really know it, but I feel like if somebody was singing, I don't feel like it. I asked a girl yesterday, "How are you singing?" I would ask, and somebody would be like, "Oh, that's that Kendrick." Haven't really got that. He's kind of dropped, and people don't want to call it bad. I think unless people are giving it praise, people aren't really
Talking about it.
Yeah. Because, it's Kendrick. Kendrick can't drop bad albums. Or if you think it's bad, it's because you're not smart enough. Album could just be bad. Like, I think that's my overall...
And I think bad is a bad term for this. It's just not good. It's mediocre.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, I hate...
And mediocre is a hard word, too.
I hate 2 things. I hate because somebody raps and it's deep, that you're automatically supposed to like it. He's supposed to make me want to like it. It shouldn't fall on me
to force myself to like
it. Yeah. And 2, I hate that, "Oh, you're just not smart," something. Even if you can get, I will allow somebody to describe every single song to me and listen to it again, but I know I won't like it because it's not engaging. It's not this and that. I don't know it. Still won't like it. And so that's when they'll hit you with you just don't understand. It's like, it's all these excuses for just not to be great. And like, I'm not saying that I expected for him to be Good Kid, Mad City, because shit, he hasn't been that in a decade. I don't expect for him to ever do that again.
I don't know. It was coming off that Baby Keem song that I was like, oh, he might be hungry again like he was then.
I think Kendrick should just be more of a feature guy. The more that I think about it, his features, to me, in the past few years, have always just been better than the songs. Remember when he did that remix of Mask Off?
Oh, it was fucking.
But
that was around Damn. That was right around Damn.
Then I was about to say, do you know what album came out around that time? Because I don't. But I know that Mask Off remix was.
Right before Damn or right after Damn. I can't remember, but it was phenomenal.
Fire. And I think in that way he'll be able to be the reserved guy that he wants. He could pop up, spit these flames, and just go like...
And so you're telling him to do the T-Pain model.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because most people do that when they're blowing up. I guess you don't really find people at the end of their careers that's like, and I don't want to keep making full albums, but I want to keep rapping. I guess that'll be a new model. Because like J. Cole has made it.
T-Pain's kind of doing that now. But T-Pain's kind of more indie now than he was before.
I'm about to say because he will never be like hot.
Now he's more indie, but he's been doing a whole bunch of features with smaller artists and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
stuff
like that buzz, at least from being T-Pain.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna hold you. I feel like J. Cole has made people kind of look at features bad. But like just in general, when people talk about features, like it's not bad. Like me saying it makes it seem like, oh, you want Kendrick just to be a feature on songs? He still raps for the song, right? Like I feel like
it'd be one thing you got Kendrick to do your hook, like
yeah. I was about to
I
say,
feel like you're wasting your money there, big dog.
I forgot which album J. Cole had no features, but I feel like since that album,
Forest Hill Drive.
I feel like features have gotten such a bad rap. Like if you French Montana that thing, of course it's bad. French Montana's gone on record and says he knows that other people makes the song hot, but shouldn't that trickle down to me? Don't I have to be hot to have them on? No, you DJ Khaled ass nigga.
You gotta pay them niggas.
It's so like we in this real weird world where I don't see Kendrick doing it because like, oh, he's just a feature rapper. He's still got the rap game on lock. He just don't want to drop a whole album. I feel like you get plenty of mileage if you real hot. Like if you really in your bag for a time, you go boom, 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 boom. But if not, you know, you hop on one good song as a favor if you like the guy and just go about your business. You still get the buzz. You still you know, you still let niggas know that, oh, I am Kendrick now. You know, you'll always have that. If I wanted to, I'd get on your ass now. And I don't know. I feel like that. If he would be the first rapper to get later into the game and do it, like that role suits. It suits what he wants to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he really wants to keep just rapping, unless it takes him fucking 2 years to make, you know, do the full album. But it doesn't seem like he really wants to just keep rapping, and I'm not mad at that. So if you don't want to just, you know, this would to me it feels like he hasn't given it his all in a while. And if that's the case, you might as well just give it your all for a feature. You can give it your all for 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours.
And honestly, but you can give it. You can say he's giving his all, but maybe he's just in a different part of his life. So it's not the same hunger and grind that it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're a different animal when you got a family and you're rich.
There's different priorities. Like you had priorities,
yeah,
but now your priorities for like it's not getting out the hood. It's not life or death. It's I'm just trying, you know, trying to get my kids to school.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make a message. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, you know, tell y'all what it's like to be a fucking dad.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right. My overall score was a 76. 76%. Total score was a 22.8. You gave him a 48% and a total score of 14.5. Do you think that's what you expected to give him?
Yeah, that's roughly how I feel about it. Hell, could argue that it's a little too high for an album that I don't listen to, don't really like, and whatever. I don't know. Like 40 is kind of
high for you.
Yeah.
I think the 70 is about where I was gonna put it, 70, 60 in that range. So the average score is a 72%, 62%. Sorry. Which, like I said, think that's right.
So this is the question for you. If yours is 76, do you believe that it's only like 9% off from Good Kid? Well, no, it's 12%. I'm a dumbass. Yeah. It's only 12% higher than Good Kid.
Like I said, it probably should be closer to that 60 number.
I was about to say, like, this is like when you see these things.
So I gave my grades. I gave my grades objectively and fair, but also, you know, maybe there's a little standing going on in here. And you know, this is why you average scores together and get a more unbiased score. But
yeah, so and I feel like our combined scores is really there because like 86 for Good Kid, 62 for DNA. I feel like that is the gap. Hell, my gap from being like what 83 to 48. Yep, there's about a 40% gap in there to me. 40% makes a difference. Once again, I think the 40 is kind of high on my spectrum. So, and I know most of the 40 comes from him rapping. Gave him props for the lyrics. Gave him props for shit, English.
That's basically your whole.
Yeah.
I guess you give him 3 good, kind of good numbers.
Yep. And so that's what mine's is complete objective. Like, if somebody felt like mine should have been higher, I can argue mine should have been lower. Like, I don't like it, but I didn't let mine not like.
Bash him.
Yeah. And so.
Yeah. And I think my score's probably a little high because I like him.
And
I gave him a little bit more than maybe he should have got. But this is why we average shit together.
And I like it. This episode was long. It's an episode. But mainly it'll be normally one thing. It'll be a song, be an artist, or be an album.
Yeah. And this episode was long because we did 2 albums in one episode.
And we had to break down, what it meant.
Yeah. Leave a comment in below what album you want us to do next, what artist you want us to do next.
What's your favorite Kendrick album? What's your least favorite Kendrick album?
What is your score compared to our score? And
we could just upload this and people could go along with theirs.
But more of the story is hope y'all enjoyed it. We're looking forward to doing a whole bunch more of these. And we out.